Hello everyone, my name is Tayo. I'm a property consultant and a realtor. For a long time I've been wanting to do this video to talk about this particular subject. I actually have so many things that I like to share and talk about, for this video I've decided to talk about real estate due diligence. And the reason I chose this topic at this very point in time is because over the last, there's been lots of times where, or lots of occasions where people have been having so many issues ranging from having their houses demolished many years after they bought land and built, or losing their lands totally, either to the government, or you buy land from Mr. A and then Mr. B comes later to claim the land, and so many other issues like that. And one of the ways by which this kind of situation or this kind of issues can be minimized, maybe it may not be totally eliminated, it's very possible that one or two times there will still be times when there are certain issues with respect to real estate transactions, land purchase. But I believe that a lot of these issues can be minimized as much as possible if property buyers, investors will take the subject of due diligence very seriously. So one of the reasons why it's very important for anyone at this time and age who wants to buy a property to conduct a detailed due diligence on that property is so that you know exactly what you are getting yourself into. You know exactly what you are buying, because somebody can make certain claims about a particular property, whereas when you start digging deep, you start to discover certain things about that property which is not what the seller claims is the situation with that particular property. So due diligence is very important, so you don't find yourself in a situation where you buy a land today, you think you're very happy and things like that, and then somewhere down the line somebody comes and claims ownership of that land, or different kind of issues. In some cases, like I mentioned earlier, people have actually built and live in a particular location for many years, and then at some point somebody comes, it could be the government, it could be an individual, comes and says, this land belongs to me, I want this land restored back to the way it was. And of course the what that means is that everything on that land is going to be demolished, no matter what it is, no matter how long it's been there for, right? Now, what is due diligence? The simple definition of due diligence is basically finding out all the necessary details about a particular property before you buy that property. Okay, you want to find out every information that has been provided on that property. You want to do your own research to make sure that every of those claims are actually so. All right. So for real estate transactions, okay, whether it's a land or a house or whatever kind of transaction, all right, whoever is selling, of course, will make certain claims about whatever they're selling, whether it's a land or a house. Okay, our land has this and this title, our land is located in so and so area, this is the topography, it's a dry land, or it's marshy, or it's swampy. These are the things that you can use this particular land for. This is the kind of return on investment that you can have in so and so period if you buy this property. So these are claims that will be made excuse me, by developers, by realtors, and so on and so forth. And what you must do, okay, as a buyer, is to try as much as possible to verify these claims, and even to check if there are other things that may not be talked about. There could be an issue or that could cause problems on that particular property, whether in the near future or much more later. Now let's take land for example. Okay, you want to buy a land. Of course, if you're buying land, you could buy from a corporate organization, a developer, You could buy from an individual. Maybe you, around your house where you live, there is land somewhere that somebody wants to sell. An individual, just like you, he bought the land some years ago and then he wants to sell to you. You could also have a situation where you want to buy land from the category of people we call omonile. These are basically families of indigenous owners, or the indigenous owners themselves. Okay, now if you're buying from a developer, okay, which of course which seems to be where a lot of people are tending towards these days, for the sake of safety and security, a lot of people are more comfortable dealing with developers. So in most cases, you probably get information about land from a realtor. It could be the developer themselves. They'll tell you, okay, our property has so and so title. Okay, it's located in so and so area. This is the topography. These are the things you can use the land for. This is if you're buying for an investment, this is how much return on investment you can get on this property within so and so period. These are claims, okay, that will be made by whoever wants to sell the property to you. Now, let's start with the issue of title. So the developer comes and says, this is the title of my land. Okay, now first let me tell you why the issue of title is very, very important. I remember when I first started selling real estate, usually people will reach out to me and the first question they ask me is, does your property have a CFO? And of course, at the time we had so many properties with different kind of titles: CFO, excision, gazette. Some is excision in process and things like that. And some of them are some of these clients are so particular about certificate of occupancy. To them, if your land doesn't have a CFO or a governor's consent, they are not even interested. Much later, as I started to learn and experience and garner more experience in the business, I started to understand why. And that's the issue with title. You see, title, the issue of title has to do with legal ownership. Okay, whoever is the legal owner or whoever has the legal title on a property is the one that is authorized to sell that property. Okay, so when somebody is asking about the title of the land, what they want to be sure of is that, number one, this land has a clear owner, okay, which is recognized by the government. The government recognizes this person as the clear owner of this property. There's no dispute, there's no question, it's very clear, this is the owner of the land. Okay, now normally that owner is the one who should be authorized. They should be the person who has a right to sell that property. But of course, you know that, and if they are not the ones selling, if according to the title the land or the property belongs to Mr. A, and then Mr. B is the one who is coming to say, oh, I want to sell this property to you, of course there's got to be some kind of contract between Mr. A, who happens to be the one with the title on the property, and Mr. B. It could be that Mr. A has sold to Mr. B. It could be that there is a memorandum of understanding between Mr. A and Mr. B. There has to be a link between whoever owns the legal title on that property, okay, and whoever claims, whoever is selling the property to you. So if you're buying it from a developer, that means that of course the developer already bought the land from the original owner who has the title, or they have started paying for it. Of course, sometimes the developer may not be able to pay for the land in full, and then they pay in part and they continue to pay, which happens a lot. But the bottom line is there is authorization from the original owner of the land to whoever wants to sell to you to be able to sell the land. Of course, some of these things are things that one is to do in the course of buying a property. It's part of what you must do when it comes to due diligence. But one of the most important points I want to make when it comes to title is this: it is very important, especially now the land is getting really expensive, that you make sure that whatever land you're buying has got a very good title. So if the developer claims that my land has got excision, you want to verify and be sure that indeed the land has an excision. If it's got a CFO, you want to verify. If the CFO is being processed, of course there are documents, there will be documents to prove this, okay, which will give you a level of assurance that there will not be issues eventually when you buy such a property. Right. The other important point I want to make is this: in a situation, I remember when I first started the business, and at the time in Ibejuleki, there were lots of lands with the accession in process title. And I remember asking one of the developers then, out of concern, I asked him, I said, sir, this the accession in process, I'm really concerned, because I don't want a situation where my client buys land now and in the future we start having problems. And the answer he gave me was that, well, we bought the land from a family, we don't have any business with the government, And of course at the time I was like, okay, well, you bought the land from a family, you don't have any business with the government. Well, but if you think about that deeply, much later when I think about that statement, I'm like, it was actually very, very wrong. Okay, because those lands with accession in process title, they are lands under government acquisition. The simple meaning, okay, of that this land is under government acquisition, the simple meaning is that the land belongs to the government. There's no other way you want to explain it. A land under government acquisition belongs to the government. Okay, so if you are buying such a land, there should be proof or evidence that, number one, that land is not committed, it is excisable, okay, or there is a process that either the family or the developer has started to ensure that the title on that land is going to be perfected. Right? Because if it is not, either of three things is going to happen when you buy a land with government acquisition. Number one, either the government eventually excises the land, that means releases the land, which involves some processes, or you ratify, which is more or less like buying the land from the government. So the government says, okay, this is the land, this is the area of the okay, we're going to sell to you at so rate. You have an understanding, and you negotiate price, and you buy from the government, which is government. Or number three, the government takes over the land, which has happened several times. A short while ago, I was with an elderly person, and he was telling me about his friend whose house was demolished in a particular area because it was land that was under government acquisition, which basically means it was government's land, and he had been there for several years. Of course, when that happened, he picked himself up again, went to another land he bought, and then built again. Unfortunately, an issue came up, and land in that particular area was demolished as well. As I speak to you, he told me that he eventually had a stroke, and right now he's not in great health. Okay, so the reason why doing your due diligence is important is so that something that you are doing that's supposed to be something to bring you joy, something to grow your wealth, doesn't turn out to be something that becomes a pain for you. People have had lots of experiences where, they're just regretting. Some of them don't even want to invest anymore. They're looking for other things to invest in. Whereas we also have those who have invested and they've made good returns. They've had very great experiences with investing in real estate. But the bottom line here is the due diligence. Doing your due diligence will save you from all this kind of problem. So the issue of title, you want to make sure that, number one, the land you're buying doesn't belong to the government, and number two, you are buying from the rightful owner of that property. All right, sometimes you may not be able to tell, which is why it is important to get a professional involved. I've talked about buying from a developer. Of course, developers also make certain claims about the location, about what you can use the land for, the usability. You want to make sure that you verify these things. If you are not able to physically inspect the location, make sure you get someone who can inspect on your behalf and go to the exact location of the land to see what you're buying. Okay, sometimes personally, I will tell you if the land is wet, I'll tell you you need to sand fill, but some will not tell you. All right, some will say our land is buy and build, and you go there's absolutely nothing. The land may not be legal, it may be legal, it has a good title, it has everything, but it's not buy and build in the sense that you cannot do much there at the moment and because there is no development. And there's nothing wrong with that, just that it may not fit certain purposes that you may have in mind. I remember somebody reached out to me from the UK. I was telling me that he bought a land. He was rushed to buy the land because there was a promo. The person claimed that the land is buy and build, and he bought the land. Eventually, after paying for the land, that was when he sent somebody to inspect, and they found out the land is in a far location where he cannot even do anything at the moment. It's land that he can just keep, and then maybe when the value appreciates in the future, he can sell. Whereas the reason why he wanted to buy was to be able to build a house where he can actually live in when he comes around from the UK, and then probably let out to make some money. So this is very important. Verify the location, verify the title, the usability. There are some places where, for example, you cannot build more than a two-story building. That's 2 floors. And let's say what you have in mind is you want to build 3 floors, maybe apartments to let. Okay, and in that area you can't do more than 2 floors. So some of these things you need to find out. Some you want to buy land for commercial usage. Be sure that the land you are buying you can actually use for that purpose. So this is the due diligence. Is not just about title or how legal the land is, or whether you also have to do other checks as well. This land I'm buying, is it fit for purpose? Can I use it for this thing that I have in mind that I want to use it for? These things are very important. Also, if you're buying from an individual, of course, the person, at least you have a survey. Okay, in the situation where the person doesn't have a survey, it may not be that the land is illegal. Sometimes when Omonile sells lands to people, all they give you is a receipt. Whoever buys the land is supposed to go ahead and do a survey and do some other things, and even title perfection, but the person may not have done those things. So in the process of buying the land, all that they can present is just the receipt with which that they got from Omonile people when they were buying. And you may not be able to verify. You really want to be sure that if I buy this land, I will not be in trouble. In such a situation, the best bet is for you to engage a professional. You engage a lawyer, you engage an experienced surveyor who can help you look into the details and can help you verify that the land you're buying is safe to buy. And if after these checks, this person, you are told that okay, you need to caution or don't buy that land, I will just suggest that just listen to whatever the lawyer or whatever the surveyor says and do not buy. This is very, very important. The property may look good, it may sound like a good deal, but look, you don't want to lose your hard-earned money to something you're not sure of. The other thing is buying from Omonile. Now, a lot of people will say don't buy from Omonile, but I do not subscribe to that. You can buy, I believe that you can buy land from anybody. The only thing you need to do is to make sure that you do a due diligence. Of course, you may not know what to do, you may not know what to look out for. So my recommendation is engage professionals. Unfortunately, also we've had cases and situations where people engage lawyers to do due diligence for them, and the lawyer will come and say, well, I can see the land is good, but if you're not going to give me a cut from maybe your commission or whatever, I'm going to tell this person who has given me a job that the land is bad. That has happened before. I have seen it happen, and that is why you engage people with integrity, people who that they will protect your interest. These are the kind of people you want to engage when it comes to doing your due diligence. So no matter who you're buying from, it is very important that you do your due diligence. Also, when you want to buy a house, okay, I'm going to do a much more detailed video on processes involved in buying a house and things you want to look out for, how you can get the best deals. But what I want to say in terms of due diligence is this. I noticed that majority of people who actually buy houses are buying for investment. Most of them are not even buying. In fact, most of the people who are buying houses today are people who are very comfortable. They already own their houses. That's the majority. There are people who are also buying for personal use, but there are more people who are buying as a form of investment. Okay. Of course, some of the due diligence you want to do is the developer. Okay, how long have they been in the business? The structures they've built in the past, how have they fared? Structural stability is very important. You don't want to buy a house and after 5 years the whole house is falling apart. You want to buy a house that stands strong, for as long as possible. Okay, so you can do a research on the company, check out what they've done before, and this stuff can guide you. In a situation where maybe the developer is new, it's possible they are coming from somewhere. You want to check their pedigree, look at the management team. Some of these things can help you and guide you to know what to expect. I also expect that if you're somebody that's looking to buy a property, you have an understanding of house sizes. What's the standard size of a living room? What's the standard size of a bedroom? What's the standard size of a kitchen? With all of this information, especially when you're buying off-plan, because off-plan seems to be the best deals that you will get out there, and a lot of people are making money from buying off-plan. So you want to have all of this information. What's the standard size of the living room, so that when somebody is marketing a property to you, you request for the floor plan, you check all of these things, and if you think that it looks good, then you can go ahead and make your purchase. Because I tell you, you will have lots of options. So when you have an understanding of some of these things, it helps you and guides you to be able to make a better decision. Also, people talk a lot about your return on investment. All of these things you can check online. For example, people talk a lot about shortlets these days, and you see, shortlet sells more in certain areas than others. So when somebody has a house for sale in a particular location, and the person tells you you can make so and so amount of money on shortlets, you can do a quick research, check online shortlets in so and so area, and check whether truly people are actually maybe check whether actually in that area shortlets are available that people are currently using, so that you do not buy a property hoping that you will make a certain amount of money, and then after paying for the property you realize that all the things that you've been told are actually not what it is. So some of these reasons, some of these things are the things you should look at where you are buying a property. It's all part of your due diligence, because the essence is you want to make sure that the reason you're buying your property, you want to make sure first that what you are buying is exactly what it is. The title is okay, the location is okay, the topography, whatever they claim it is what is there. In terms of returns on investment, these things can be estimated. All of these things you want to verify. Call your realtor, sit down with him. Okay, Mr. Realtor or Madam Realtor, you claim that if I buy this property, this and this is going to happen. Okay, come and show me. Come and do the math. Let me see that this your claims are actually true. These things are very, very important. Now, when it comes to other kind of real estate transactions, I've talked about buying land, I've talked about buying a house. I'm going to do more detailed video, much more later. Now I'm going to be doing a lot more videos. But in case of other real estate transactions, because it's not just there are people in some cases it's not just about, okay, I want to buy a plot of land or I want to buy a house. People can come to you and say, okay, come and do land sponsorship. We have a land somewhere, we want to dredge it, we want to sand fill it, we want to do the survey. If you give us so and so amount of money, we will give you so and so number of plots. These deals are actually very, very good deals if they turn out to be genuine. My suggestion to you is to engage a lawyer, engage professionals who can help you look into the details of the project, check the legality, check the all the other details, and get their recommendations. People have gotten people have lost a lot of money doing all these kind of deals, and on the flip side, people have also made lots and lots of money with this kind of deals. What makes the difference is doing your due diligence, so that you can be sure that whatever it is that they are claiming is actually what it is. Again, don't forget, it's as simple as getting professionals. Pay a lawyer to help you research these things. Look for surveyors who are competent, who have integrity, to help you look into these deals, so that you do not throw your money away. Okay, now I was going to talk about the other kind of deal. So you have another deal is joint venture. Somebody comes and says, I have a land, come and develop my land, let's and then we can work out something. So all these deals, all these kind of deals, they are available, they are out there, depending on your financial capability and things like that. So the bottom line of all I'm trying to say is, whatever it is that is brought to your table in terms of real estate, whether it's a land, it's a house, it's a JV, it's land sponsorship, whatever it is you want to buy, whatever it is you want to subscribe for, take time to verify that every claim or every attribute of that property is actually what it is. Some you can do for yourself, some you may need to engage professionals, whatever it is that you need to do, okay, so that, because a lot of times just on the surface everything is going to look good. It is when you begin to dig deep down, it's when you get someone who has an understanding of these things and they begin to really look deep down and ask some questions, that's when you begin to see certain things that could create problems for you in the future. So do your due diligence, and if you find any issues, it is better you just keep your money and look for something else. If it's an issue you believe you will be able to resolve, well, you could go ahead with the deal, but at least you know that, well, this is what you're getting into, and you understand that at some point there are things that may come up that you will need to fix. I'm going to stop there at this point, and then you're going to hear from me again. So where I'm going to be sharing a lot more details about some of these things to help you make a good decision in terms of real estate investment. I want to thank you very much for watching this video. If you find this video beneficiary, please share the video wherever you're watching from. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. On Facebook, please share. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon.